Hello guys, welcome to my first tutorial video. Okay, so today we're going to be making this Jester cuff. I apologize for the angle of this video. I don't have a phone holder or a camera holder or anything, so my phone's just being propped up on a table right now. But let's get into it. So, we're going to be making this Jester cuff. It's honestly super simple. It's a really easy one to make. It looks very complicated, but it's really not. It's just a bunch of doing the same thing over and over again, but with different amounts of beads. So let's get into it. Okay, first you're gonna need a lot of string. Don't use plastic string if you don't have to, but if that's all you have, I mean, you know, use it, don't let it go to waste. But yeah, that's all I have today, so I'm gonna be using plastic string, but I would not recommend this. Just because it's harder to work with, in my opinion. It's harder to keep everything tighter, and I know it dry rots a lot faster than like the cord string. So if you have an option, go with cord string. If not, plastic is fine. I'm going to make another Jester cuff that is exactly like this to match this one, so I can wear both of them at the same time. So I'm gonna start with this part right here. I'm gonna do this with 30 beads. You can do a different number if that fits your wrist better, but make sure that it's a multiple of 3. So like 27, 30, 33, something like that. Anything that's a multiple of 3 will be fine. Okay, so for this design, I'm starting out with 2 of one color and 1 of a different color. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing that for this design. I like doing this just to help me remember which bead I'm supposed to weave this through in a later step, but I'll get to that later. So get 30 beads on your bracelet. I'm gonna skip this part and I'll come back. Okay, I have my 30 beads on this string with the string still attached. Don't cut the long string off. You can cut the little like tail off of it when you tie it, but don't cut the long string off because we're gonna use that to actually make this thing. When you tie this, make sure you tie it at least like 4, 5, maybe 6 times. I don't actually count how many times I tie it. I just usually go by what I feel like, and whenever I feel like I've tied it enough, I do it once more. Okay, next step. We are going to look at where this string is coming out of, and that's the way you're gonna start weaving the beads. Don't weave your string over the bead. Make sure it's going out of the bead, if that makes sense. Okay, so looking at this, I'm going to do this row right here. So I'm gonna do a dark purple, light purple, dark purple. Again, you can do whatever colors you want. I'm just letting you know this is the next row we're gonna do. Okay, so put your beads on your string. You need 3 beads, any color. Then you're gonna take the string and weave it into this green one. So if you have all of the same color on here, you're gonna skip 2 beads and then weave it into the next one. This is why I was saying I like to do a different color, because it's easier for me to see which one I need to weave the string into. But if you have all the same color, that's fine. Just skip 2 and weave it through the 3rd one. And you're gonna do that all the way around. I'll do this twice to show you how to do it, and then I'll do the rest on my own. Take the 3rd bead, weave the string through, and pull. So that it looks like that. I'll do this one more time. Okay, I got my beads. Take the 3rd bead, put the string through, and pull. And make sure it's pretty tight. Okay, so you're gonna do that all the way around, and then I'll start recording again when I get back to this bead. Okay, I'm on my last step. I have my 3 beads on here. I'm going to weave it through this green one like normal. Okay, so we have this. Then we're gonna take our string and weave it through this bead and this bead so that we're at the top of this little point. So weave it through this bead and then this bead, and then pull. Okay, so now we're at the top of our point. Hopefully you can see me actually doing this. I know it's kind of hard to see with the clear string, but I don't know what happened to my cord string. Okay, so for the next step, I'm doing this row right here. So dark purple, bright green, dark purple. So again, pick whatever 3 beads you want and put them onto your string. Okay, now that you have them on your string, you are going to weave your string through this light purple bead or whatever color you have, but make sure it's at the point or like the middle of these 3 beads, if that makes sense. So you're going to put your string through that light purple or whatever color you have and then pull. So then it should look like that. I'll do it one more time. Okay, we got our 3 beads. I'm gonna hold the string with my other 2 fingers to keep it tight. So I'm gonna put it through the light purple and pull. Okay, so I'm gonna do that same thing all the way around, and I'll start recording again when I get back to this bead. Okay, sorry, hold on just a second. I forgot to mention while I was doing this, make sure when you're doing this part, you're pulling the string pretty tight so that it starts to almost look like a dome while you're making it, just so that it's like tight on your wrist and it doesn't, you know, just flop all over the place. So yeah, just make sure that you're pulling it tight while you're making it. Okay, so I'm on my last step. I have my 3 beads on my string. I'm gonna string it through this purple bead just like I would all the others. Okay, and then I'm gonna step it up just like I did the last time. So my string is right here. I'm going to pull the string through this bead and this bead. So you have your 3 beads of whatever color. You're gonna put your string through these 2. Okay, I have my string at my point right here. I'm now going to do this row of 3 greens. This is my 3rd row. On this cuff, I did 6 rows of 3 beads. You can do more or less, whatever you think looks good. If you want it longer or shorter, it doesn't really matter. But for this one, I'm gonna do 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's start on the green one. Okay, so I have my green beads on my string. I'm going to take my string and put it through this bright green bead or your point at the top of your 3 beads. And I'm just gonna do this again and again and again until I have 6 rows. So I have my 3 green beads on there. I'll start recording again when I get to here and I'll step it up again. Okay, so I'm on my last step. I have my 3 green beads on my string. I'm going to put my string through this green bead and these 2. So I'm gonna step it up again, whatever color you have. You're gonna look at your 3 beads. You're gonna weave it through this one like you would normally, and then the first 2 beads. Okay, so string, go through the normal bead, then go through the first 2 beads. Okay, since I'm using plastic string tends to like not hold its shape as good as the cord string. So I'm gonna tie my bracelet off here, but I'm not gonna cut off the string. So to do that, I'm gonna take my string and put it through this hole right here, if you can see that. I'm just gonna put it through there. And then this part is kind of hard to explain and it's kind of hard to see with the clear string, but I'm gonna put my string in between these 2 beads, put my hand through the circle, grab the end of the string and pull it through. And then pull it pretty tight. So I'm gonna do that several more times just to reinforce this shape. So take the end of your string, put it through that hole, put the string in between these 2 beads, and then pull it through the circle. You don't have to do this step of tying it. I just do it so that it keeps its shape because, you know, I'm using plastic string. I do this with the cord string too, just to reinforce it, but you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Okay, so I'm going to do the next row, which is 3 dark purple, and I'm going to do it the same way that I've been doing it the whole time. If you have this part down, you know to weave it through the middle bead, and you don't need to watch this again. You know how to, like, you know, step it up to the next row and everything, and you already got that down. I'll put the time right here to skip to for the next part that's actually different, but if you still need to watch it a few more times, here we go. Okay, so I have my 3 purple beads. I'm gonna take the string and weave it through the middle bead and pull. So I have that. I'm gonna do that all the way around and start recording when I get back to this bead. Okay, so I'm on my last step of my row. I'm gonna weave the string through this bead, and this bead. So the normal bead that you would weave it through, and the first 2. All right, so now I'm gonna start on my next row, which is 3 light purple. Okay, I have my 3 light purple. I'm gonna take my string and put it through the middle bead right here. All right, and pull. I'm gonna do that all the way around here until I get to this bead, and I'll start recording again. Last step of this row, take your string, weave it through the normal bead, and then the first 2. All right. All right, we're done with that row. I'm gonna do this row right here, so 3 bright green. All right, and I'm gonna weave my string through the middle bead, and I will start recording once I get to this bead. I have my 3 beads. I'm gonna take my string, weave it through the middle bead right here, and these 2 beads. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit different, but it's the same concept. It's just a different number of beads. So I'm gonna tie this off again real quick just to hold this part in place. I'm gonna do that off camera. Okay, so now that I have that tied off, I'm gonna do this part right here. So I'm gonna take 5 beads, whatever color you want, but I'm gonna do the dark green. So I'm gonna do 5 dark green beads. Okay, here's my 5 beads. I'm gonna take my string and put it through the next middle bead. So the same thing as before, it's just we're using 5 beads now instead of 3. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm gonna do the same thing all the way around, weaving into that middle bead, and I'll start recording again when I get back to this bead. I have my 5 green beads. I'm gonna take my string, weave it through the middle bead right here. Okay. Then I'm gonna take my string and do basically the same thing we were doing with the 3 beads, but now we're gonna weave it through more. So we're gonna weave it through the first 3 of these 5. So this one, and this one, so that we're up at that point. All right, so we're at the top right here. I'm gonna look at my other one. So the next row is these 5 purple beads. So we're gonna do another row of 5. All right, so I got my 5 purple beads, and I'm going to weave it through this middle one right here, or the 3rd bead if you're counting up. All right, so it should look like that. I'm gonna do that all the way around until I get to this bead. All right, I'm on my last step. I have my 5 beads. I'm gonna weave my string through this top bead right here, then the first 3 beads. So up through this one, and this one. And I'm running out of string, so I'm gonna have to add some on to here. So through this one, and this one. So let me add some more string and then I'll come back for the next step. Okay, I added more string. So now we are going to do this row, which is 7 of this light purple. So your next row, instead of 5 beads, is going to be 7 beads of whatever color you want. All right, I got my 7 beads on my string. So now I'm going to weave my string through this middle bead. So counting up 1, 2, 3, the 3rd bead, you're going to put it through here. So then it's going to look like that. I'm going to do this all the way around until I get back to this bead. So 7 beads, weave it through the middle one, all the way around. All right, I've gone all around my cuff. I have my 7 light purple beads. I'm going to do the same thing that I've been doing throughout this whole thing. I'm going to go through this middle bead. Then I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. So you're going to end up in this middle bead. So go through all 4 of these. All right, now that I'm in the middle bead, I'm going to go to the next row, which is a row of these light green ones. All right, I have my 5 green beads. I'm going to weave it into this middle bead right here, so the 4th bead. And okay, so it's gonna look like that. So I'm gonna do that all the way around until I get back to this bead and record again. All right, I have my 5 green beads. I'm going to weave it through this top bead right here and then over into these 3 beads. So I'm gonna end up in this middle one. So now for the last row, I'm going to do a mix of all of the colors like I did right here. So I'm gonna go green, dark purple, light purple, bright green, light purple, dark purple, green. You obviously can do any colors you want. I'm just gonna do that pattern. All right, I have my 7 beads. I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna weave it into the middle bead right here or the 3rd bead. Just like that. So it should look like that. I'm gonna do that all the way around until I get to the end. All right, now for the last step. I have my 7 beads. I'm just gonna put it through this middle one and I'm not gonna step it up any further. This is gonna be my last step. And there, we are all done. I'm just gonna tie it off the same way that I showed you before. All right, I'm gonna cut that string and we are all done. So we have our Jester cuff. That's what it looks like when it's on my hand. This is what both of them look like together. They're so cute. I love them. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it wasn't too confusing. I know it was a little bit confusing with my clear string, but comment if you want me to do any more tutorials like this, or if there was anything that you didn't understand that I should explain better. Let me know how you did on this tutorial and if there's anything that you found was better than what I was doing, or yeah, anything like that. Bye.